Hello. Today's video will be about the foot, just a few interesting tidbits of information about the foot that are useful for your yoga practice. Of course, yoga might be one of the more rare disciplines, physical disciplines that we do that's barefoot. And that's for a reason. When we do yoga barefoot, we can really feel into the feet and our connection to the earth, as well as understand how our entire body is impacted by the foot. Our feet are often constrained in shoes, so that does make them a little bit less well worked than a lot of our other body parts, but it's so important for us to have this knowledge and connection to our feet. There's a yogi who's named T.S. Little who makes this connection between the toes and the eyes, citing reflexology, which is a Chinese or an Asian massage and energetic technique, citing that there's this connection between the eyes and the toes, and so that when our toes are active, we can see where we're going. We can see it's kind of the first part of our body that is moving forward, right? The toes. So it's just an interesting little tidbit. And so we do have within our feet 26 bones, and they're arranged in intricate mosaic. I won't go into detail about them, but they're irregular bones. They're bones that are not like how we think of them in a skeleton with the long bones. But if you ever to look at a skeleton, you would see that there are, and you look down at the feet of the skeleton, the part that we probably rarely ever look at, you'd see the intricate network of bones that are there, and they are absorbing energy from the ground and transferring it into the rest of the body. They're also transferring your weight down. And so from the shaft of the lower leg, the fibula and the tibia, the weight, the force is being spread across this kind of network of bones. And these bones form a dome. So on top of the intricateness of the bones, they're creating this kind of doming shape. If you can see my hand, there's a little bit of space created when I cup my hand like that. So that mimics how the bones are creating domes in the feet. And there are three of those domes. The most obvious one you can see on the inside of your foot, and on the outside of the foot, there is actually an arch there. These arches forming the dome, I should clarify. And then you have another arch that goes across the foot. Now, of course, the bones of themselves wouldn't be quite good enough to absorb all the force. So we do have our soft padding and of the tissues and the plantar fascia, which connects up through the leg, which is help creating that doming action too. So this the bones are not the only thing involved here, of course, right? An analogy is made to a trampoline. Again, T.S. Little made this, where the energy is, if you were to kind of push down on the top of your foot, you'd notice there's a springiness, right? And so where does that energy go? It goes out to the edges and it's transferred. And so there's a key piece of our medial arch, that's the one inside of the foot that's most visible, and that's the big toe mound. It creates, by pressing into this, we can actually activate the foot and the arch of the foot, particularly the medial arch. And fallen arches can create displacement of where the bones are how they're arranged. And so the energy, the forces have kind of irregular patterns of being distributed through the foot. But we can perhaps affect that through just our awareness of the foot by gripping the toes down lightly and engaging the muscles of the foot. And not only is the big toe mound important, but the heel is important as well. That's where energy is transferred down. And then the little toe mound is the third place where you would want to focus on placing your weight. And so when you have this in mind, when you're standing in Tadasana, which is a just simple standing posture that's a basic yoga posture, you have the weight evenly distributed, and you can kind of tune into that and allow your body to be connected to the feet, feeling into the skin of the feet, and then imagining you're pressing into those three areas. Now, some teachers, including textbooks that I've used in my courses, may mention four corners of the feet. But if you look at Mel Robin, you can kind of see that there's 3 points, and those are the point of the big toe, the second, the little toe, the little toe mound, and the heel. And that is creating these series of arches, which creates the doming. So you can still talk about how your heel, the inner edge and the outer edge, creates the third and the fourth point of the four-pointed model. And there are some benefits of that as well, because when we pour more of our weight into the inner edge of that heel, we may end up then changing the alignment in our joints above, like the knee. So T.S. Little uses a analogy of kind of like a three-pronged fork pressing down. And so if you would imagine that your inner heel is that is the inner prong of the fork, then you might then compensate by pressing into the other side. And these are yogic principles in play in many ways. In philosophy, we talk about pratipaksha bhavana, which is cultivating the opposite. So when our body may be out of alignment and pouring too much energy, too much force into one side, we actually can counteract that by going in the opposite direction just a little bit more, so that we achieve balance, which is really our our goal in yoga therapy. So that's it for the foot.